right, let me take these off real quick. Welcome back. We're actually doing part 20 of my guitars now, thanks to an incredible gift from a very generous friend. And most of you in the community that are amongst the group that we follow all know Roy, but I just wanted to thank him again. I don't want to go too far down that road. You can check the unboxing where I thanked him a lot too. But we ended up in a conversation, and that led to this incredible gift. As you can see by the headstock, we're going to go with Fender for the most part, but as you might have seen in the thumbnail, I've mentioned Partscaster and had Fender question mark. We'll get into that as we go into things on the guitar. So since the unboxing, I've had a few weeks to play with this and really enjoy it. And I decided that we needed to do another full documentation and go into what I usually do with all of my guitars. So we're going to start with the history, but being that this is Fender for the most part, the history has been done by so many people with so much more research and detail than I have. So I'm not going to turn that into an hour-long video for you guys because I could go on and on about it and still miss parts. But we'll do the Cliff Notes version of things here. And so starting in 1946, Fender Musical Instruments is established. They were first producing amplifiers and lap steel guitars. You get to 1951, and the Telecaster, which is what we've got here, is introduced. And lots of folks insist that Leo got it right the first time. And since I've become kind of a fan of Tellies lately, I have several now, I'm inclined to agree. But in 1954, a few years down the road, something else you might know called the Stratocaster was introduced, which probably was the next evolution of this. It had a slightly different three pickup design, if you're familiar with Stratocasters, of course. I'll have pictures of trying to get time accurate models up over here as I'm talking about them. Arguably, you could argue that the Strat or the Tele is probably the most known guitar. The Strat is probably the most copied model out there. So a few years later in 1958, they introduced the Jazzmaster, followed closely a couple years later in 1960 by the Jazz Bass. And then in 1964, we start to get into some of the interesting parts of Fender's history. The CBS era begins with the sale to Columbia Broadcasting Systems, CBS. And this is when the fat headstocks were introduced, and I'll throw a picture of like the normal and the fat headstock by comparison so you can see why it's called a fat headstock. There were arguably quite a few hits and misses during the CBS era. Some people love the CBS era, others say the quality suffered. It's probably player preference, but I encourage you to look up some of the history for that. Flash forward to 1985. A small group of investors purchases Fender from CBS for $12.5 million, which, knowing the guitar market today now, oh God, it hurts me to say that 1985 was 40 years ago. 40 years on from that, $12.5 million for purchasing Fender would be a steal. In 1987, the custom shop in Corona, California opens, and a year later debuts its first artist signature guitars like the Eric Clapton signature Stratocaster, you may have heard of him, and the Yngwie Malmsteen signature Stratocaster, which I'm sure had the scalloped neck. I'll try and get pictures of those up there as well. There's a lot more leading to more current events, such as they got into equipment besides guitars and amps, and into like Fender Studio, Fender Play, the Lesson things. So they've become a multi-tiered company now. But like I said, there are almost limitless sites and videos that you can go to find out the complete history. I actually encourage you to. There's several good books about Leo Fender himself that are excellent, and I would recommend that you seek out any history on those, especially if you're a Fender fan. So with that being said, let's get into a little bit of exactly what I have here. I am calling this a Fender Telecaster because through conversations with Roy and a little bit of detective work, this is primarily Fender parts. However, it is not a production model. It is a Partscaster because Roy used different neck, body, etc. to put this together. So the year, this is going to be kind of like Johnny Cash's song about his Cadillac that he bought one piece at a time. I'm pretty sure that the neck is a 2025 and that it came off of or was a purchased neck separate of like the Player 2, Player 1 model. The body is likely a Fender. The year is unknown at the moment. When we get into the construction of that, I'll get into why I believe it's a Fender, but I'm not sure. The weight on this is 7.6 pounds, which in my mind for a Telecaster, that's kind of the sweet spot because you can get lighter ones that are made with different wood types and different thickness of body, some that have the carve, etc. Or you can go all the way up. I know some of the rosewood models come in close to 9 pounds, which if you're wearing that on a strap for a gig could be a backbreaker. So 7.6 pounds is actually perfect in my mind. The scale length, it's a Fender neck. It's 25.5 inches. So now we get into the body. I believe, if this is what I think it is, I did take the neck off and look in the pocket. However, there was a shim there that I didn't want to move around. And I think there may have been some stamp on there. Roy wasn't certain for sure that it was a Fender model. I think this is, though, based on the shape, the color. I think it's probably around the 2025 vintage too, which would make this an alder body if I'm correct. So again, this is uncertainty because I didn't buy the parts for this, didn't spec them. Roy has had so many guitars through his shop. We had conversations going back and forth. So I don't care if it's a mystery or not, but to me, it's a Fender. It looks to be a 3-piece body. I don't know if that's showing up real well on the camera, but there's a seam line running past the ferrules. Oh, over the other way. I've got to remember I'm reversed. And there's another seam line over here at the edge. I don't see one in this area of the burst, so I think it is a 3-piece body. The neck is, like I said, I believe a Player 2. The serial number didn't come up in the search engine, but going through other sites and reading through the numbers, I do know it is a 2025. And based on the rosewood fretboard and everything else about it, I believe it is a Player 2 neck. It is a maple neck with a beautiful skunk stripe. And it is a modern C shape, so not too chunky, not too thin, just right about perfect for a Tele in my mind. We have 22 medium jumbo frets on a rosewood fretboard that is a 9.5-inch radius. I did check that. The edges may or may not have come rolled, either that or Roy did a little work on it, because it is not a sharp edge at all. I don't know if it feels like fully rolled or not, but it's an extremely comfortable neck. We have the mother of pearl dot markers all the way down the 12th fret. White side markers that are half into the fretboard, half into the neck, which I believe is typical for these. The nut feels and looks like either bone or synthetic bone. Looking at specs for buying one of these necks online, if it's what I think it is a synthetic bone nut, but no real easy way to tell that, but it's cut very well. One note on that, Roy, you mentioned that there was a little bit of fret buzz. Wow. Fret buzz in some of the cowboy cord areas. Actually detaching and reattaching the neck seems to have taken care of most of that. There's probably going to be some setup work that I have to do down the line on this. So now we get into where we deviate from Fender a little bit. So the pickups, number one, you can see, I don't know if you can see that says Seymour Duncan. And we did a little bit of research and talking with Roy. This is a set of quarter pounders is what they're called. And the quarter comes from the neck pickup, which you can see the distinctively larger poles in there. Those are 1/4-inch poles. And it has special coil winding, which allows for higher output. The neck pickup uses 3/16 pole pieces under a chrome-plated brass cover. Both pickups are Alnico 5. The bridge output that I measured at came in at 15.7. In the middle, it came in at 5.06K, and the neck output is 7.24K. So A little hotter than your normal single coil pickups, and these are true single coils, which when we're doing the sound samples, there will be a couple cuts as I dial in noise reduction, because a single coil at that much output, when you add even just a little bit of gain, you start to get some hum. I'll probably keep it in as I dial it in so you can hear what I'm talking about. It could be the system I'm using too, but otherwise the guitar plays beautifully. Along with the Seymour Duncan pickups, we also have, and I'm going to throw in some pictures when I did look under the controls. This is a Mojo Tone solderless convertible harness, which means it's got the clip-ins for connecting the pickups and everything, and it has dip switches to bypass tone and or the treble bleed that's in there. I'm going to have to find a manual online to see what some of those dip switches do and kind of play around with some of the settings to see if I like it as is or if I want to do something different with it. They are full-size pots. They're CTS pots that are included per Mojo Tone's website. And this being single coil tellies, I believe it's the 250K pots that are in there, not the 500K. I would have to do a little more digging into the serial numbers and everything, or numbers branding on the harness inside there to make sure, but I do believe it is the 250K. Three-way switch, standard like you would on a Fender, but it's just built into the Mojo Tone harness. The tuners are Fender split top tuners. That's poke it down, wrap it around style tuners, non-locking, but they hold tune incredibly well. I am unsure of the ratio. I would have to check the next time I do a string change just to get an idea how that's going. So that'll be something maybe I'll just update in the description down the road for first time I do a string change. And the bridge is a Fender branded ashtray bridge with compensated brass saddles. There may be a little bit of intonation work that I have to do, but it seems to be pretty solid. That is one thing I'll have to delve into instructions as to how to intonate a compensated saddle bridge. So it is also string through design. The bridge itself looks like it would also support loading the strings through the back of the bridge as well. That is not something I wanted to do. We'll keep that in. I did do nothing. I think, if anything, I hit the tuner. Thank God. This is close quarters, guys. I have to be more careful with my instruments. Sorry about that, Roy. All right, so what I am going to do is put on my headphones. All right, so I'm going to start with clean tones, but I am going to turn off the reverb on the setting that I'm using on my Pocket Master. And we're going to start with the bridge pickup. Do the middle position. This is where I've been living the most part on the guitar because I really like the sound of it. And it really has very nice sustain. And then finally the neck pup. It is really a very, very nice sounding set of pickups. So, all right, we're going to try a little bit of dirt, not full gain, but you'll have to pardon me because when I turn this on, we're going to start back in the bridge. Yeah, you can hear a little bit of hum coming in there. That's not too bad, so I'm going to leave this one alone. So for the bridge pup, a little bit of extra reverb in there, but that's okay. We're going to go with middle. We lose the hum for the most part. And then finally the neck. So these are really versatile pickups. They take to things really well. We're going to go into a much higher gain. Now we're going to go back to the bridge. Tone and volume are full up. You're going to hear that really, I might have added a little more noise reduction to this setting when we weren't offline. It's not too bad. This is, the pickups are versatile enough that it really works with pretty much any tone, but I don't know that this is where I'm going to live with this guitar for the super high gain stuff. I really, really like the bluesy and clean tones on this one a lot. Sorry for the fat fingers there. Middle position. And finally, the neck pup. All right, and we're going to turn the transmitter off so that hopefully I don't get any more noise inside the video than I already had. It's going to be an interesting watch back. I just wanted to have a couple final thoughts here. So, as I said in the thumbnail, my first real Fender question mark. I'm going to call it a Fender because it is primarily Fender parts that have been modded with upgraded pickups. Regardless, the fact that this is something that was built by Roy with hand-picked parts and the Seymour Duncan pickups, making this a Partscaster officially, I still think it makes it even more awesome that Roy did this all himself and chose the parts and just really put together a fantastic guitar, and I can't thank him enough. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on whether we can call this a real Fender or not. I mean, it's real Fender parts, but I am, as I said, branding it as a Partscaster, which is absolutely fine. This is easily one of the finest guitars that I have right now, and it has been a lot of fun getting to know it and play it. It'll be a lot of fun trying to figure out what to do with that Mojo Tone harness to see if there's anything I can do to tweak the sound a little bit. And just taking a look at the intonation and the setup just to make sure everything is correct, because obviously it traveled from southern destination all the way up here to Wisconsin, so there were bound to be some changes with weather and everything that I've got to account for as well. So again, thank you so much, Roy, and thank you to everybody for coming along and watching me document another guitar. I am incredibly blessed to have all of you watching what I do here, to have all of you in the community in my life. And until next time.